What's up, everybody? This is the Man of Steel, Mike Verna, and you are listening to the 3 Pound Podcast.
Weighing in at an unbelievable weight that you might hate, but you can't even
Dang, high pass, we can find that drag ball at.
Now entering the ring.
Welcome, everybody, to another great edition of the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering the Ring. I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man who leads you up this mountain. We're going to the summit. You can call me your Sherpa, but of course, it's never about me. Never. It's always about who's entering the ring. And so who's entering the ring today? You can find this man at UCW. You can find this man at Devise. You can find him at PWX Law, or you can find him at Black Diamond. He is the Reginald, Joshua Kavod.
What's up, man? Thank you so much for having me on the show, man. It means a lot. Glad to be here.
Bro, I am excited to have you on the show. I was thinking about this interview. Kind of like behind the scenes, had this plan for like a couple weeks now, and I was like counting it down. Like I've been working with like a lot of other people and like doing these interviews, but I was like, Josh and I just ran a match. Like I legit have to like get this guy on the show and talk to him.
Yeah, pretty pumped, man. This is like I have my own podcast. I did one or two. One of them's out, but I've never actually been on this end of one. So this is different for me, dude. It's pretty cool, man.
Awesome. See, you just sit back, sit in the passenger seat. I'll take the drive. You ain't got to worry about nothing else. It's kind of like, like that rookie vet mentality.
Heck yeah, man. I'm good with that.
Bet, man. So I'm going to ask you, man, first question off the jump, man. Who is Joshua Kavod?
Who is Joshua Kavod? Now, the simple answer would be a child of God, professional wrestler and entertainer, and just a hard worker. There's a very, very long version of that. The story goes back, man. Joshua Kavod, simply that, though, in my eyes, man. I go out and strive to be the best I can be every time anybody sees me perform. That's just who I am. I'm a child of God, and I'm a performer, man. I'm a professional wrestler, and that's what I believe I was born to be.
Yeah, that's awesome, though. I know one of my really good friends he's like tearing it up on the upper circuit. That's his thing, man. Like he lifts, wrestles, do yoga, and then he just preaches the book, and like that's like his life, and he loves every minute of it. And I'm just like, bro, I can't be mad. Like I enjoy just like listening to him do some of his own sermons and stuff, because we both kind of travel like the same road, which is kind of crazy. We both went to college at Northwestern College, which was like an all Christian school and a Christian college to be exact. But he was just pumping out information left and right. Like he just knew story after story after story, and just how to relate to a life, or like to rest, because we were both college wrestlers. So he just knew how to relate to it. And it was a trip for me. And I was just like, teach me.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But the Bible's so much deeper. Like you already know it's deep, but like I go to Regent University, so a Christian college, and they're like you never believe how deep the Bible actually is, and so you dig into some of them stories, and you can learn how to put it together with what's going on in your own life at the time.
Yeah, it's weird.
Taking me a long way.
Yeah, I was like, it is weird how like you like you go through a day, you open up like randomly, and then there's a verse there, and you're just like, huh, like I definitely can relate to this.
Hey, man, there's power in God's word, so that's plug into your power source every day. You're good to go.
Bet,
My
man.
opinion, that's how it should be.
Oh yeah,
I wasn't always like that though, man. I wasn't always that guy, but we'll get there.
Hey, we got whatever time we got, man. So what brought you into the sport though?
Oh shoot, I always loved wrestling, man. I remember being a kid, and the first like serious memory that I have of wrestling was probably Big Show throwing Austin through the cage.
Yeah.
And like I remember my parents watched it all the time. I watched it, and I remember growing up in the Attitude Era, and I was super into it, and knowing that I was, in my eyes, I was going to be the biggest guy there ever was when I was a kid. So that's it, that, and between every other sport I could ever think of, but I always loved wrestling. I got a little older. I think I was about 14. My cousin actually was training with the Stro. And he came back up and we, he was working indie shows. I went and saw a couple of them and I wanted to learn. I wanted to know. I was 14. I live in Pennsylvania. There's a lot of rules and regulations on that in Pennsylvania. So it's my cousin. We found a way around it. And, this isn't stuff that like today you tell people something like this, it's going to be frowned upon. But I'm 27. I was 14 and I would have died to get into wrestling. I would have gave my life at 14 years old to say I did anything in a wrestling ring. So I learned how to bump by taking a suplex on a dining room floor, hardwood floor. Hey, man. And it was stupid as ever you could ever be. But I didn't know that. I was 14 years old. My cousin was also green and training and young. We're eager, So we did it in dining room floor. I took suplexes and stuff learning. And I went to a West Virginia show with him, 16 years old, 15, I believe. And Johnny Hart and the Snake Man, Devin Michaels, are in the ring running training. Johnny Hart, he looks at me, says, "Hey, kid, you want to try it?" Yeah, I want to try it. I jump in a ring. Well, you've been watching. Take a bump. Took a bump. Do that again. Took a bump. So that's pretty good, kid. Now, I didn't tell him I was taking bumps on the dining room floor because he'd probably kick me out. So I did that. And he said, "Well, all right, you know how to run the ropes? Run the ropes." I started running. He started running the other way, crisscross. We ran, dude, for a good solid 5 to 8, just running ropes. And I puked. I believe I puked. Anyway, it was a long time ago, but he ran the crap out of me, man. And ever since, like every show, because we were doing 3 shows a weekend for just that specific crew of guys traveling through West Virginia at the time. And every chance he had, he'd get me in the ring and, all the different guys would show me stuff. A lot of credit to my cousin Shane for, actually pulling me in and getting me involved in the business. But beyond that, I always loved it. 14 years old, that's whenever I really started to learn. And at 15, 16, I lied my way through the business, not proud of that, but I was eager and I wanted to be in it. So I lied my way through the business. I lied about my age and whatnot. And a couple different people would get their hands on me and you'd learn. I think one of the first ones that really sunk their claws into me, the Wraith and Johnny Demonic tag team of the Bloodline, local to my area, West Virginia, PA. I think the Ohio Valley area. And then after that, who I credit a lot of stuff to is because when I really excelled is J-Roo out of Charleroi, PA. He was the one that really took his time with me and taught me a lot. And I learned a lot from him because we had similar styles. And that's how, stuff I wanted to know, he knew how to do. So at 16 years old, I remember working a cage match, 16 years old with 9 guys coming off the top and bunch of crazy stuff, man. So when I was a kid, it was just something I always loved to do. And I always wanted to do it. Like I have scars to prove it as a child, doing a lot of stuff my mother didn't agree with. And beating the crap out of me and my brother is just wrestling. It's a life, man. It's always been the goal since as long as I can remember. So that's probably the longest answer I could give you, honestly. Sorry, bro.
This is your interview, man. So when I ask you, it's whatever the story is, man, whatever you want to get out and get across, it's all about you. So you don't have to worry about any of that, man. But that's interesting though, man. Like getting in at 14 and taking bumps on a hardwood floor. Like we joke about it in the business because you can attest to this too. We talk about a bump card, right? And you're not punching holes. You're blowing shotgun shells through your
Right.
card once you start doing that, because it's not fun. And I know a couple of other friends who've taken suplexes like on hardwood floors and just say like, man, like my back was just messed up for like 3 or 4 days afterwards. And like, you to hear you.
Yeah, dude, my body's had a lot of other trauma, so I've been around for about 13 years, working years, closer to 10,
Mm.
because a lot of stuff that has happened throughout my life, at 17, which is what really, really messed me up, because 14, 15, 16, I'm learning. I'm finally getting to that point. I'm about to be 18. So there's certain states I can work in, things I can do now. I don't have to wear a mask. I don't have to go to West Virginia, and I don't have to do this and lie and, all that craziness. So I'm finally there, and my dad died, and things got real crazy in my life at the time, still being under 18. And I wrecked my car because I was out drinking, being stupid. And I wrecked my car and rolled it. It broke my back, shattered my knee. Like, they had to rebuild my left knee. I broke my sternum, punctured a lung. Like, I had a bunch of crap, dude. And the doctors told me they were going to amputate my leg. I was never going to walk again. They told me I'd definitely never wrestle again. And that was, I think, the most crushing thing that I've ever heard in my entire life. At that point, I was 17. That's the only thing I wanted to do. It was military or wrestling. And wrestling was going great at the time. I was a kid. And now I would never had a future in either of them, in my eyes, the way the doctors fed it to me. So we had some surgeries, went through that, and they said, well, you're not going to walk for at least 2 years, but you'll never walk without assistance. Okay. Now, what wasn't smart, but 8 months later, I got in a wrestling ring and I went back to work. And in that process, though, I was hopped up on a lot of pain pills, dude, and a lot of stuff doctors were feeding me. And I got back in way too soon, and I had a problem starting right out the gate. So from 17 up until a year ago, honestly, man, I would love to forget about that part of my career, but I can't, because it's made me who I am. Because in my personal opinion, I was a piece of garbage for about 8 years, 10 years in the wrestling business, man, in and out of jail. And I should have never been in a ring, or like a lot of stuff, man, just because of things I went through at the time, like traumatic experiences, plus all the pain pills I got hopped up on with the doctors and then taking me off. It started addiction, plus being in a wrestling ring in the business after having those injuries, going out every night on the weekends, do 3 shows on a weekend, and your body's just destroyed.
Right.
And you do what you do. And I didn't know what I know now. So, beginning of my career was just roller coaster. It was great. It was awesome. It was bad. And it was terrible. And then glory to God, I found my way back, man. And I started doing stuff the right way. And it's taken me further than I thought it would, that quick anyways.
No, that's great though. And that's awesome that you're able to like find your path and like get back right. And now you're starting to see like sometimes, man, I think about it all the time, and you have to go through like those dark spells to like get to like the other side, to get to those light sides. And like, yeah, man, it's good that you're able to come through that. And like you said yourself, like maybe it wasn't, maybe like you're not, it's not all rainbows, but at least you still got your shine though, because like, let's be real, like when we met, I would have never guessed. I would never guess that was the thing. And you and I, like, we sat down, we had like a good 30-40 minute conversation before we even like started like talking about what we were gonna do. So yeah, I would have never guessed. And that's crazy though, man. But that's such a great story. Like, you can like build so much off of that, not just like in a ring, but in life. Like, you can pass that knowledge on to other people, like, and just like let them know, like, hey man, these are struggles that I went through in the business, and I can like help you if you ever find yourself in the same positions. So
Well,
yeah,
that's great point, man, because it's actually what I do now. I have a ministry. It's called Wrestling with Faith Ministries. It's not just for within the business, but it's for outside of the business, anybody and anybody, but anybody and everybody, rather. But that's kind of how it's been, man. And that's when you talk about gimmicks, and I pull the famous "no gimmicks needed," because it's not really a gimmick for me. It's This is my life, man, and I've always tried to be open and honest about who I was and who I am now. We've incorporated it into storylines and everything else. And it's just, yeah, it's who I am, dude, now. So what you see, yeah, I don't walk around in the big robes and stuff on a regular and, do all that stuff. But it's that's who I am. And it's that I always believed and I was always taught what I saw that worked was be yourself and just crank it up to 10. And
Yeah.
it's worked for me,
Yeah, that's definitely that's a lesson like I've been learning. I know like when even so I made my in-ring debut in front of a live crowd back in like September last year. And like I've worked like a couple matches like here and there, just like tapings, right? But I was very like I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing. And then like the more like I started working matches and stuff like that, the better like I was starting to understand like what's going on. And then I gotta send you this video of my latest match and you'll you'll pop. It's completely different, like just the way I am. And even like just in the ring, it was weird because that was only the second time that I've been in front of like a crowd was at UCW. And like I was having way too much fun. Plus, I think, having another friend in there too, aside from us working, but another friend in there too, like it made it too easy because he just knows how to like make the mood relaxed and
Yeah,
like his
yeah.
character's 1 in 100.
Michaels was great, man. He was a pleasure to work. It was fun to work you. I mean, first time we ever met each other. So, I mean, it's always for somebody who's just getting into the business like yourself, and it's crazy to me. Like, I know just getting into the business that, for you saying that's only like, what'd you say, your second time working in front of a live crowd?
Yeah.
And that's, for me, that's like, I don't really, to me, it's still just working for a camera. And, yeah, there's a couple people there. I've worked in front of 6, like I've worked in front of 6 and worked in front of not 600. I ain't got that far yet. I wish I did, but a couple hundred anyways. But them crowds, man, I can't wait for them to come back. I can't wait for you to get a chance to feel that energy from that kind of crowd to get behind you, man. It's just, that is what I think some of the stuff that I live for in this business. And I think if you don't, you'd be lying to yourself because it's once you experience that, dude, you're going to be ready to just take out mountains, bro. It's great.
Yeah, I definitely see like the latest crowd that I was working in front of probably like 125 people. It
There
was a
you go.
lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a good crowd.
Yeah, I had a blast with them too. And like um I'll just like pull back with this. But yeah, while I was working, the person I was working with, I bailed out of the ring and this little kid was like, "Come on, Red Dog, we want you to win." And I was like, "Have you seen this man? He is enormous." And
Dude.
it's a long hill. It's a long climb uphill. And he was just like, "You just got to have confidence." And I was like, right, confidence. I was like, "I got you." So then I get in the ring and then it's tie up, shoulder block, roll out, right? So as I take the shoulder block, I roll out and I go to him and I was like, "Can I have your confidence? Because I just lost mine."
That's great.
But
I
like,
always loved that, man. Yeah, working with the crowd and the kids, that's always the greatest stuff, man.
yeah, well, the kid like he ended up coming back to me like the end of the night, and he was like, "Hey, just want to tell you," he's like, "I think you're one of my new favorite wrestlers, and I really like you." And I was like, "Oh, bet, appreciate it, man." And then like I was like, "Do you want to get a picture?" He's like, "Oh yeah." And so I was like the first person that I was like, "Yeah, let's go." Patow.
Heck yeah, man.
But yeah, it
Yeah,
was a rush. It's still like I still think about it too, and I'm just like, wow, like to have that kind of effect on somebody in less than 5 minutes, man. It was cool, man. Like I feel like where you're coming from, where you're talking about like you get that energy rush, and then you're just like, I don't want to let this go because this is like it's a different level of euphoria.
right. Well, like, yeah, I mean, and the fans, when you have them interactions with them, it makes it all worth it. And then, yeah, as of recently, is like when I've always worked heel gimmicks or mask gimmicks and kind of stayed away because of my previous lifestyle and the way I, was. But now it's like you actually have people come up and hey, I want an autograph, or they'll want to buy your t-shirts or do whatever and want to take pictures. And then you have the ones that add you on Facebook and try to video chat you at like 3 a.m. repeatedly. And it's like, really, dude, that's like, man, it gets extreme, bro. And I didn't think that like that happened to people like us, I guess you could say. And it happened multiple times on multiple occasions from just a group of fans that go to I won't name it because then it becomes obvious, but my area, Pittsburgh area, a group of fans that go there, and yeah, it's like crazy, dude. They try to video chat you and call you at 3 a.m. It's like, hey man, I took a picture with you after the show. It's great. You got to know when to put your boundaries up, man. Not being like, 3 a.m. is kind of like, that's kind of weird.
Yeah. No, it's funny though, because like I go in different shows, like I find myself, because like I'm always interacting with other wrestlers and stuff like that, and like I'm legitimately like trying to book people for like interviews and stuff like that, and like so I try my best to like, hey, like I'll show you a couple of these interviews so that way like it's not just me, but I'm in the ring too taking bumps, bro. Like I'm trying to earn my place on your guys' roster. Like that's
Right.
legitimate. And I could only imagine, like, and it's even harder, like with like females. Like I feel really bad because I'm like, like I know I hit you up in your DMs. I'm like, hey, I got this podcast. You want to come on? Like, I can only imagine like how many like DMs that they get like asking about. So I was like, try to make a point like, hey, if I have a friend who knows you, then I'll have them reach out to you, because that way it's like, well, he's not a creep. He's just a guy trying to get an interview and just ask you about your experiences. So I mean, I've had that happen a couple times where people were like, yeah, whatever, and then they come on the show and they're like, oh no, this is legit. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not trying to be that stalker ass dude, because I definitely understand like fans are weird. And like, but I appreciate them.
Right. No, I'm not saying like I get it. I understand. Like you want that personal, intimate relationship with who you're watching perform,
right?
Every other week, because you want to know another side to them. But there's a boundary, and I think most fans know that. There's just that handful,
right,
that take it too far.
Like, oh, I bought your T-shirt, so you owe me this 20-minute phone call. I'm like, no, I don't. It's like,
yeah, I mean, I have no problem, staying after and talking to fans and hanging out and signing whatever.
right.
But phone calls, yeah, man. Like, hey,
like, how'd you get my number?
well, like Facebook and stuff.
Well, yeah. No, but I'd be like, if someone called me and be like, I don't give my number out, and to find my number, it takes a lot, because it's not like I put it out there readily, and even at that, like, I don't share your area code, bro. So, all right, maybe we can hop into this.
Yeah, we got off track a little bit. My fault.
It's cool. I ain't worried about it. But you talked about how you were taking bumps on a hardwood floor. So I'm very curious though, what has been the worst bump you've taken?
Worst bump I've taken. I heard you. I knew I had a feeling this question was coming because I heard it on a few others, man. But that's a really tough question for me, because I've taken a lot of crappy bumps, bro. It's been over a decade of taking bumps and being the little guy most of the time. It's like you're used as a dummy. I don't know, man. Like, you have people that think it would be tables, but I don't believe tables are a bad bump at all. Table bumps better than there's some ring bumps that I've taken. Probably gym floors, dude. Just taking suplexes and stuff on gym floors. Like, yeah, I took on hardwood floor, but it was in a house. Like, it had some give on the dining room floor in my house. The gym floors I've taken suplexes on, like concrete and stuff underneath. Those are probably the worst bumps that I can think of. I do have one specific bump that it was pretty nasty. It didn't hurt as bad as I would have thought it would. I don't even know if it's out yet. I don't even know if I'm allowed to talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it anyways. So, J. Rue, who's actually my trainer, like one of my, biggest trainers, me and him had a match up at PWX, and we decided we were going to do the assault driver because I was watching some of his old footage from IWC, and I said, hey, I want to do that. So he thought I was crazy because he's like, no offense, he knows he's older now. But we got in there, dude, and the ring was super hot, like toasty. Like they had the heat aiming at the ring. So we were sweating, sweating like crazy. And it bounced me off the ropes, go to do the pop-up to do the assault driver, which if you don't know the assault driver is pop-up power bomb position. And then I do a backflip off his shoulders and land in a face bump, like, sit out, basically face buster. And I got up and we went to go, he slipped. And I got about halfway back and I landed, spiked myself right on my head. And we found out later that it's actually a move called the Kavod driver. It's only been done 3 times in wrestling, 4 now. And the reason it's not used anymore is because every time someone has taken it, those first 3 times, they broke their neck. So I got lucky. I landed on my head. Apparently I'm durable. That's probably the worst bump I ever took. It was a little scary. That's about it. Landed on my head. That, and when I lost the Black Diamond Heavyweight Championship, that's another infamous bump I'll give you. Is I took a spine buster from J-Roo. Just so happens it's the same person. He should probably have a talk with him about this. He gave me I think it was a spine buster onto an announcer's table at Black Diamond that didn't give like whatsoever. It was actually breaking kayfabe. Sorry, Marks. The table had, it was a breakable table, bro. Like it was supposed to collapse. It was like had the Velcro stuff on it. And we hit this thing hard and it didn't go. The wood on top actually bowed down, split, and then threw me back off. And then I hit the ground, took a bump on the gym floor. So I told him, pick me up and do it again. He wouldn't do it. We got to the back. Rick Diamond tells us that there was screws, like lag bolts, in the sides of it, holding it together because of a show he did previously where he didn't want it to break. So that was good to know. We broke it legitly. And that hurt. But those are probably the 2 worst bumps I think I got.
Damn. Yeah. Like, I don't want it to break, so I screwed it in so that way the table wouldn't give. Like, oh no. We were gonna do I was gonna run and he was gonna hip toss me off the entrance ramp through the table. And I'm really glad we didn't do that because that would have hurt really, really bad. That would have there's no get to that.
Yeah, no, it would have been done.
Yeah.
Me and the table both probably.
Yeah. Been like just fold over, just lay there. Head on one side, feet on the other.
Yeah, it'd have been all bad, dude.
Oh,
probably screws in the face.
Probably. It would have, you definitely would have been like, could have called yourself Frankenstein after that. Like, yeah, Frankenstein, man.
Yeah, or freaking, what's that dude's fate? Put all the spikes out his face. I'm not a horror guy.
Oh, Pinhead.
Pinhead, there it is. Yep, Pinhead.
Yo, no. Oh no. There was a movie too. One of the Final Destinations. There's a chick who like ended up taking like a bunch of screws and nails to the face.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't remember which one. Somebody in a comment, go ahead, put it in there. You'll probably know what we're talking about. Aside from having like that being one of your worst bumps, man, I'm also very curious because I ask this question a lot and I love the answers I get from it. What's the hardest you've ever been hit?
Oh man. This is messed up, and I have to have a serious talk with this guy after this podcast because I've never thought about how all this adds up. Maybe it's just because it's with your trainer who you go the hardest with. I've been hit hard by quite a few guys just by slipping up and throwing some taters accidentally in the middle of a match. I've had guys shoot when I was younger. Some had the right to shoot. Some didn't. I've been kicked in the back of the head so hard I've seen stars before on purpose, sometimes on accident. But one that it's just an infamous memory for me because it's my second ever match ever. I was working a mask gimmick I won't say which one it is. And it was like 100, probably 100 degrees, dude. And at least in the suit, because I was wearing a full body suit.
Oh,
It was like
no.
100 degrees in this suit. And we were on a big biker rally in West Virginia. I was in a triple threat match with J. Rue and Special Ed. And he sat me up on a top turnbuckle, and I'm green, like green. I'm 16 in a West Virginia show around a bunch of bikers in this goofy freaking gimmick. And he sets me on a top turnbuckle, and he says, take a hip toss, Japanese arm drag, something along them lines. He wanted me to take a flip bump off top. And that was cool, except Special Ed was laying right there. So I was like, I can't go. So he went and I didn't. Well, that's a big no-no. You don't do that. He tells you to go, you go. Well, he wanted me to land on Ed, and Ed knew I was coming, apparently. I didn't know. So he turns around, jumps back up, and throws a forearm to me on the top turnbuckle. I remember the forearm coming, and then I remember being drugged back into the ring by my foot off the ground and sat back into the turnbuckle to get chopped. It's called Don't Miss Your Spot, kid. Yeah, so that's probably one of the biggest memories I have of, like, yeah, dude, knocked out straight on top rope, blew a spot, and it happened. Besides that, me and a guy named Harley T. Morris, the professional, we had a big feud in Black Diamond, and the tempo of our feud started off with a hardcore match because it was something that was booked for the show. The guys no-showed the promoter, so he asked us to do it. Yeah, sure. Friends with the promoter, will do whatever you need us to do, man. We went out, we worked a match. That was the first time we ever worked each other. And it was for the belt. That's when I won the belt and all that. So that started off our feud with that kind of heat. And we went to town on each other. So after that, for a while, working each other, it's just like constant throwing taters at each other. And we got each other good quite a few times. So yeah, I've left concussed more than enough times from wrestling shows.
I know I have a good friend too, and we always run practice matches, and he always tells me too. He's like, if you don't hit me hard enough, I'm gonna slap the shit out of you, and when I slap you, that means the intensity's gotta get turned up. I'm like, all right, whatever. And so like I went to throw a forearm, right, and I throw my forearm, and I'm 210, and he was like, $160. So I throw a forearm at him, and then he turns around and just smacks me just right in the mouth. And I was like, all right. And it just came, it just laid so hard into him. And he was just like, that's what I'm talking about. And I'm just like, I hate you so much right now.
Just the time that I came up as a kid, like I was a kid coming up with grown men in a locker room,
Right.
And I learned the hard way, a lot of stuff, and it was always working snug. I like working snug. I tell a lot of guys, like at least the younger guys coming up in my area, if it doesn't look good, don't do it, for one. Right. Like punches and all that. I hate seeing a punch that doesn't connect. There's got to be connection. Like you got to know how to work it, man. I'm a firm believer, and I want to feel it. I don't want you to knock me out, but I want to know you're there.
Right.
That's how I work.
Well, that's something that you talked to me about too in the back. Like you said, That's exactly how you said it too.
Right.
If I can't feel it, don't throw it. I'm like, all right, man. I was like, me too. Just lay it in. I like it. So it's weird though, right? Because like people talk about that like all the time. Like in wrestling, like you have to have a screw loose because like, you're willing to just get punched in the face.
Yeah, it's great. Love it. Yeah. You punch in the face for a living, man. Yeah, it's great. Love it. It's awesome.
So I got to ask though, in this sport, what's been like one of the hardest things that you've had to learn?
The hardest things I've had to learn, man, is, oh shoot, there's a lot of hard lessons in this business. Hardest thing I had to learn is probably how to look out for yourself, man, and what's best for you. Because you can get involved with a lot of cliques and let yourself go down a bad path, or don't take bookings, or don't do, certain things because of certain people. And I understand the respect factor and all that, and I preach respect all the time. And I believe that it's something that really needs to still be instilled into this business. Sometimes you got to go with your gut, dude, and leave some people behind. And it's about what's best for your career. And if it doesn't help you, then it's not for you. That was a hard lesson for me to learn. And then you can always go back and you can always go back and grab people, and be like, hey man, here's the door, here's your chance, come with me.
Right.
Stuff like that. Hard lessons is just sometimes, man, it's how to really, it's such a hard freaking question. Yeah, we'll just go with the first one. We'll go with the first one. We'll leave it at that for now. That's a hard question, man. There's a lot of hard lessons to be learned in this business. Sometimes it's simply of just working different people, different styles. For me, something that has been really tough because of the style. Like I finally started to get past a certain threshold and move on past fear, I guess you could say, and start hitting a lot of different moves and stuff that I've been working on and practicing, and now I'm doing them in matches. You kind of got to, like, for me, the hitting all the springboards and the high flying stuff, we don't have a lot of that around me. Like coming up, it was all old school type of wrestlers. J-Ru did, a little off the ground stuff. But there was never like them serious high flyers. Like I love AAA. One of my biggest goals is to go to Mexico or New Japan. Like I want to, that's where I want to go, dude. I used to love TNA in the X division back in the, early 2000s. Like I love that style of wrestling. And for me, a lot of it had to be self-taught, and I had to study a lot, dude. Like study a lot of tape, and then go in and find somebody willing enough to be like, hey man, we try this with me. You try this with me. Yeah. And we just keep doing it until we make sure like, hey, this is safe. This is how it's done. Yeah, and you go for it, dude. And it's worked. Like some of my matches that I've had recently with some guys, I thought for just going out and like our match got flipped around and got changed real like last second. So we went out, we had a great match. I feel like we had a good match.
Yeah.
And that's something I don't think I could have done that well in my earlier years. It's just all a learning process of going out and being able to know when to fill spots, know when to like, yeah, okay, we called this in the back. But as you're going through, it's like, yeah, okay, this isn't long enough. Even though sometimes 5 minutes feels like it's been 15 because it's so hot, or sometimes it don't feel like you went long enough and you're way over. But there's times when and you're like, okay, so we called all this in the back. You got to find fillers, man. And a lot of guys, they'll learn that. But I see a lot of that now that's like, it's not done. And I screw up on that. So I have to throw in more fillers here and there, different stuff. But I think that's a good lesson too. Like knowing how to work the full match and not just what you got to know how to call stuff in the ring, dude. It's the old school mentality. You got to know how to do it.
Yeah, that was the piece of advice that recently was kind of brought to my attention was that, plan the beginning, plan to finish, and then everything else just call out there, like, and just try, right? Like at first you can feel awkward because you really want to structure everything, but he's like, just go out there and have fun. And it was great advice that I got, and I was like, yeah, I definitely want to see what this is gonna be like. So I think when I start going back into training, and I just learned this probably like we're recording this on like, it was like a week ago, like to give kind of a context. So, and I'll tell you who told me that after everything. But I was like, I definitely gonna try that at practice when I get into the ring with someone that I'm comfortable with and just start trying it and really just see what happens. And it might be something. It might be a complete bomb, but I'm going to try.
For me, it depends on what kind of moves you plan on throwing out there during that match.
Right.
I like to, come up with some spots and be like, okay, well, if we get a chance, here's something we can do. Here's something we can do, and just call it. call in a ring.
Right.
You know, place it. Like, go with the crowd, see how they feel. But now, you know, that's the thing about the COVID era, bro. There's not really a crowd all the time for you to feed off of. So you kind of just go with it, you know.
Just listen to the boys in the back. If they pop, then you know you did something awesome.
True. That's very true.
All right, man. So I got a question to ask. Like, any advice that you would give to upcoming wrestlers? Like, what would you throw at them?
Upcoming wrestlers, man. Show up and commit when you say you're going to. When you say you're going to do something, do it. Because when you don't, it kind of sets the tone for the rest of your first couple years, dude. And you always want to show up and show out. Whenever you're young and you're coming up and this is your first couple years in the business, you want to be there for everything, dude. Set up, tear down, before the show, after the show, be there asking questions, pay attention. And if you really want to be here, if you really want to be in this business, you got to be hungry. You got to have heart. It's going to hurt. It's going to suck. You're going to have to sacrifice a lot of stuff. It's just what it is. It's the nature of the beast. If you want to wrestle, if you want to be a pro wrestler, man, even on the indie scene, there's a lot of things you got to be willing to give up and walk away from, because a lot of things will hold you back from getting to the bigger scene. And we all do it at some point in our career. We let something hold us back. But if you say you're going to do something, do it. Show up and show out every time, because it gets more eyes on you, man. Give it your all, 110% every time you go out there. 110% might not be the same today as it is tomorrow, but at least you tried. You gave it everything you had. And I think if you lay everything on the line every time you go after something, eventually you're going to succeed.
Yeah, I like that. That's really good advice. Like, got the little fire now. I'm just like, yeah, man. That's why I go to these shows and ask people to come on my podcast so I can have these one-on-ones and learn lessons.
Heck yeah.
All right, man. So last question I have for you before we jump into the second best segment of this 3 Count podcast. I got to have one do and one don't of the locker room.
One do, one don't. Okay. One do, one don't. One do. Do, no matter how you feel about somebody in the locker room, no matter how bad they pissed you off by something they said on the internet. Back in the day, it might have been the indie message board. Might still be today if you still get on that crap. If they still exist, I really don't know. I avoid them. No matter how you feel about anybody, do, when you go in the locker room, shake everybody's hand and introduce yourself. And let them know that, yeah, hi, it's nice to meet you. It's nice to see you again. Be professional and respectful at all times. I don't care if you want to punch his lights out. Wait until you see him somewhere else. Never do it in the locker room. Don't, if you hear somebody yell, dropping trout, change anything of that, just locker room, don't look down. That's all. Best advice I got you. Don't ever look down, because there's a lot of chances you're going to catch a lot of stuff you don't want to see. And in the locker rooms that we work in lately have been really tight spaced. And these old school guys just don't care. No towel, no nothing. They'll just drop it and it's there. And it's right. You're trying to change your clothes and you look up and you got a man's genitalia in your face. Don't let your eyes wander in the locker room. Gentlemen, ladies, especially ladies, don't let your eyes wander in the locker room, because it can be a very scary place sometimes.
Just,
there you go.
Hey, that's true though.
Very true. Very true.
Well, those are my big heavy hitting questions, man. So we're going to get into the second best segment of this podcast. And people will ask me, well, what's the first? And I tell them it's the Red Dogs Power Rankings that you can find every Sunday on our debate show or every Monday on TikTok and Instagram. Because, we do put those out there for our listeners and our viewers to check it out. But this is the 3 Count podcast, 10 count questions. Mr. Kavod, this is how it works. I'm going to fire off 10 questions at you rapid and fast. Whatever you answer with, that is your answer. Are you ready to play the game?
I don't know, man, but I guess let's do it.
All right. We're going to put on the imaginary timer. Bing. And here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
Raw.
Favorite color?
Blue.
Sonic or Mario?
Mario.
Favorite movie?
Dude, I don't watch a lot of TV. We'll go with the Wrestlers. Most recent thing I watched.
Okay, that I like that too. Lions or Tigers?
Tigers.
This is the one that's gonna get you. Favorite verse?
Favorite verse? Bible scripture?
Yeah.
Oh, this is gonna get me. I got so many. Romans 8:31. If God is for us, then who can be against us? That's a great one. Oh man, I don't know I know it's First Corinthians. I don't know the exact coordinates for this scripture. But it was when I was a child. Forgive me, fellow believers, if I butcher this right now. When I was a child, I thought as a child, I spoke as a child, I something as a child. I'm sorry. But when I became man, I put childish things away. That's one of my favorite scriptures. There's the time to grow up, you know.
I got it. Funny thing though is that we still play pretend.
Yeah, I still put on costumes and go out and, you know, beat up my friends, you know, so it's
Never really grew up past that phase. But all right, Batman or Superman?
Batman.
Favorite podcast?
House of Kavod.
Hey. Nominate one person that you want to see on this podcast.
Nominate one person I want to see on this podcast. Oh shoot, man. Okay. Dude, I don't know. I got a couple in mind. I'm trying to.
Yeah, throw them all out.
A couple. You know, my business partner, actually, good friend of mine. He was in my wedding. He was probably one of my best friends. The crazy hillbilly Bud Cassidy. I haven't had the chance to put him on mine yet. And I really want to know, because he's one of my best friends, and there's a lot of story. He's got a lot of knowledge, a lot of stuff that I don't know, that I'd like to hear. Riley Chambers is a brain full of knowledge. If you could ever make it happen, I could get you the contact information and I could find out. I don't know if you'd be up for it or not. The Wraith and Johnny Mnemonic, even. Those guys are a freaking swimming pool of knowledge, and they have seen a lot and been a lot of places in wrestling. So out of my personal people, those are probably some of the top couple right now. I had one with J. Rue. He's a great talk too. If you ever have time to sit down with him on a podcast, he's like, you know, freaking, he has a crap ton of stories. Yeah, man, you got a group there you could always grab something from and roll with it.
Bet. Well, last but not least, my favorite question asked every person, and I'm very curious whether you're gonna be able to answer this question or not. Favorite curse word? Yeah. We all know what the word is. You know you can't say it though.
No, well, I mean that, you know. Darn. I don't know, man. I'm human, you know, so you slip, you say stuff. Favorite curse word? Probably piss, because me and my buddies at work will always yell at each other from the top of the, hey, are you taking a piss? Just messing around with each other, freaking the British accent crap and being a bunch of goofballs. So
I like it. I like it a lot. Well, that is it for the 10 count questions, Mr. Kavod. All I need from you is to let our viewers and our listeners know where they can find you.
Oh man, you could check me out. I don't even know my own backslash for my YouTube, but if you search Joshua Kavod on YouTube, you can find me. You can find me every Thursday on CUTV, just about every Thursday if they booked me that week, because the promoters he's a loony bin. So if you catch me on TV on CUTV Thursdays at 1 p.m. If you're local to my area, if not, you can catch me on YouTube on Thursdays on Legit American Wrestling. You can catch me on there at 6 p.m. on Thursday evenings. I think we missed one tonight though. We had some stuff going on. You can catch me at PWX whenever theirs are airing. Don't have a schedule for that. You can catch me UCW wherever they may run. Devise, the Keystone Grappling Coalition. You can catch me at Black Diamond here soon at the Bel Air Toy and Brick Museum in Ohio, doing a Lego death match with yours truly, J-Roo. So that'll be pretty great. You catch me on YouTube, man. Go to House of Kavod, Josh, and check some of my stuff out, man. Go to LAW, Legit American Wrestling, all that. Dude, find me on Facebook, Joshua Kavod on Facebook too. All my social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Go hit it up. Like, subscribe to videos, especially 3 Count podcast, especially this video, because this video is going to be awesome now. Dude, anywhere, man. I love the support. I love when people come out and show up, and I always promise to give you a good show. So, and for promoters and bookers out there, I am available. I have lots of dates available. We can work something out. Give me a call. I will work very flexible, because I have a personal goal in this business, and that is to work at least once in every state and get a couple out of country bookings and whatnot. But I just want to work anywhere and everywhere. So if you're looking for work, check me out on YouTube. Get a hold of me.
Bet. And there you go. That's where you can find him on all of his YouTube channels. Also, you can find him on Twitter and IG and everything else. But with that being said, this is the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering the Ring. And as I said, I am your Sherpa, the man who leads you up the summit of this mountain of this sport called wrestling. So you guys know what to do. Well, actually, first, it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring, and that is Joshua Kavod. But you guys know what to do. Tune into the next episode and be there, or you just wait till this episode ends and the outro plays, and then you catch the next episode that we have coming up. Peace. What's going on, 3 Count Nation? I'm Clifford Red Dog Miller with the catchphrase. But what I really want to do right now, go to twitter.com, right? Go over there, find us at the 3 Count _ pod, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a comment. We want to talk to you guys. Go to IG at the 3 Count pod, give us a like, give us a follow, leave us a comment. We want to interact with you. Go to youtube.com, give us a subscribe, turn the bell on, turn the notifications, leave a comment. We want to talk to you. Go to anchor.fm / the 3 Count podcast, and in there, you can leave us a message, and we will talk to you. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that we want to talk to you. We want to have fun with you guys, and we love listening to what you guys have to say. Also, one thing I need you to do for me, the 3 Count podcast also has merchandise. Oh! At prowrestlingtees.com / the 3 Count pod. Please go buy our t-shirts. We love you guys, and we hope you love us too. So show us some support, please.